Hello, I'd like to welcome everybody to the September meeting of the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Commission. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. As always, we're going to start with a prayer and pledge of allegiance, and Dr. Gloria Bonner is going to lead us. Gloria?
Thank you. May we bow. Father, we praise you for this day and your purpose for it. Lift our hearts and eyes to seek you first in all that we think, do, and say. Grant us renewed strength and courage to follow your will and help us to make wise decisions that will be pleasing to you. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Gloria.
You're welcome.
I believe everybody has received their packet in the last few days, and contained in that packet were the minutes from the July meeting. At this time, we'll entertain any changes or corrections that need to be made to those minutes, and if there are none, a motion for approval.
I move approval of the minutes.
Thanks, Gloria. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Mitzi, thank you. All right, we've got a couple of big items on the agenda today that we'll get to first. The first one is a consideration for a new adolescent program at Patterson, and Marilyn is going to go over that with us today. Marilyn, welcome.
Several faces I'm familiar with, but several faces I am not. But thank you for having me here. Again, my name is Marilyn Woods Robinson, and I'm here to introduce a program that I've worked with for many, many, many years. It's a structured program that is designed for adolescents ages 13 to 12. And realizing, have you been in a situation lately where you say, there are so many kids that we're having problems with? That's one of the things that this program will help us with. You know, we sit around and we think, when I was a kid, this is what I did. When I was a kid, my mom would have said. Well, what I've learned is let's use old school and new school. Again, my name is Marilyn Woods Robinson. I hold a master's degree from our own beloved MTSU. And I've worked in Supreme Courts. I've worked in drug courts with this program. This program, like I said, is a token economy program, and I'm sure we all know what a token economy is. A token economy is any time a person behaves appropriately or anyone behaves appropriately and they in turn receive something in return for it. After a while, that you can take away the reward and then the behavior is just expected. That's what a token economy is. There is a token economy already in place at Patterson Community Center, and we have helped to implement that more so, and it's the same kind of program that we've implemented in the criminal justice system. We focus on positive instead of negative, and the thing about our society is that we're so often punishing for the negative behaviors, and so therefore we call up the negative behaviors, and so what do we get? We get negative behaviors. This program deals basically with the positive behaviors, and we found it works. I have success programs in Maryland. I have success programs. I'm sure you're familiar with Woodland Hills. Woodland Hills is not too far from here, just down the road, and it's a children's prison. And the token economy was also very successful. Alcohol and drug courts, and also here at Patterson Community. The token economy has not been without challenges. Of course, there were doubters because we get so accustomed to just dealing with the inappropriate behavior. We get so accustomed to calling out the bad behaviors. And then there's there's inconsistencies, always staff inconsistencies, lack of staff training. So it was not without challenges. And as you can see, there were several other challenges. And how do we overcome these challenges? Well, we had to listen. We had to use our own type of experimentation to work with those who were inconsistent, those who were saboteurs. We were able to listen and do the one-on-one training, experience reinforcement, and we had a lot of kids this year, and that we worked with. At-risk kids are the kids that we will find will work more with this program. Like I said, this program has worked in the juvenile justice system. This program has worked in prisons, also male and female. And with the sexually abused, of course, I did several years of research on the sexually abused and on the children with behavior problems, with anger management problems. And I found that the token economy works in instances such as this. Children with a history of neither have worked with this token economy. So when we get good behavior, we want to keep the behavior good. At-risk adults, alcohol and drug addiction is one of the things that I've done for several years. I'm an alcohol and drug counselor. Anger management, which is one of the issues that goes along with it, behavior changes. These are issues that go along with the token economy. And special opportunities, that's what we see with this token economy. We have special opportunities to work with people, homeless people, gangs, and as you can see, alternative schools, all kinds of people. This token economy, we've seen this token economy work with. I look forward to working with the token economy, and where do we go from here? Well, let's see. Where do we go from here? We've really only scratched the surface with the token economy because this society, our society, needs to change its way of thinking as opposed to focusing on the negative. We need to start focusing on the positive. So that means we're going to have to change our way of thinking, which is something we can do. When we think about the children that are dyslexic and we think about the children that are having problems and why have these children made it, let's talk about Henry Ford for just a second and Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Edison. Let's think about those people. Had those people not thought differently, where would we be today? So it confirms, yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah, that's one of the things we got to do. We've got to think differently about our society. When we think about the number of children getting killed, when we think about the number of families being disruptive, we understand and we accept the fact we've got to do something different. And that different, we've got to start by thinking different. Do you have any questions? Thank
Do you have any questions for Marilyn?
Ms. Marilyn, thank you for your program. I'm hearing such good things about it. Could you share with us the impact that you have observed currently at Patterson?
Well, our children, I don't know, Gloria, if you know me, I go in with Children don't usually just, oh, Miss Marilyn, because I set strict boundaries. That's my old school. I believe right is right and wrong is wrong. You asked me if we made an impact. Yes, we are beginning to make an impact on our children. Yes.
Just want you to know how much we appreciate you as a community resource, and you're doing outstanding things there with the young people.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could summarize, and we appreciate the work that's gone into this and the whole staff at Patterson, but our goal really with this is to get kids that otherwise would have been dismissed from the facility to be put into this program where they can come back and earn back the reward and the ability to come back to the facility without just kicking them onto the streets, but get them in this program several times a week. It also involves working with their parents that have to come in at least one time during the process to understand some of the issues that we're having and really focusing on the positive things that a lot of these kids are doing and providing to the facility.
And that has been a major concern when they're dismissed, because oftentimes they're unsupervised, but a program of this nature has allowed them to be reinstated so that they can enjoy the experiences and opportunities there.
Yep. Absolutely. And I look forward to specifically getting the parents involved with this as well, or the grandparents, and hopefully get them engaged early on in the process.
All right, thanks. Any other questions? There aren't any. We need a motion for approval of the program.
I move approval.
Thanks, Gloria.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Marilyn, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item under new business is a consideration for approval of the master plan. Kevin Gunther's with us today. Kevin, welcome. Glad to have you back.
Well, the pleasure is always mine. I'll try to get
If I could give just a quick update where we stand with this process, Mr. Chairman. We're over a year into this process of developing our comprehensive master plan. Mr. Gunther and his team have done a tremendous job taking direction from the community, this organization, and then this commission as well. So we're excited where we stand. We've had a lot of work go into this, and I think Kevin's excited to share some of the details.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Once again, a pleasure to be here as always with the Park Commission, the city staff, and we're pleased to be at this stage. As Mr. Williams had indicated, if you look at page 3 of the process, we are getting close to the finish line. We are at the stage now where we've had quite a bit of stakeholder input. We've had several public input meetings. We have made sure to incorporate the suggestions that you as the Park Commission have requested, and we believe we have a document that stands very close to complete and ready to put into some kind of formal adoption. I'll let the staff decide if it is at that stage. But really, I would say that to summarize, I know the last time we gathered and looked at this plan, I think the main thing that I had heard was, what are the next steps for implementation and what are the priorities? And that is part of our effort with the master plan. So that's really what I want to focus on today. If there's anything else within the plan that you would like to explore, I'm more than happy to do that, but that's going to be my focus. And I would say that really there are 4 main things that are primary elements of that focus. And one is new facilities and land acquisition. Second is enhancing and maintaining what we have. And then the third is really connecting what we have. So I think those are the things that are the most important to really move this plan forward. On page 47, you'll see a map that is a composite map. I think this is a good graphic plan to depict where we're at as far as some physical facilities and some greenway extensions. And what this map has done is taken what we call the demand, in other words, where people live, work, and play. We lay that on top of where your existing facilities are. We look at things that are outside the Park and Recreation Department that might be adding to recreational experiences like the Stones River Battlefield, like Discovery Center. And with that, we've kind of determined where are those key places where land acquisition and facilities might be best served for the city. And you'll see that we've highlighted a bubble in the southwest region of Murfreesboro. We think that is definitely one area that deserves a community park and a large-scale community park. And then also you'll see in that map there are these light red-colored bubbles which highlight areas that we think really deserve a larger number of local or neighborhood parks. So this map is kind of like that snapshot of the infrastructure, if you will, the physical infrastructure and how things might be shaped out in the future to best serve the community. Is there any questions about that composite map that you're looking at?
You may have questions for Kat? Keep on.
Okay. So then really with that map in hand, along with all the input we've heard, along with all the dialogue we've had, I'm going to take you to the very end of the report. If you look at the back of the report, page 88 and 89, what we've done is we've summarized what we think those implementation steps and priorities should be at this stage. And I know that's a lot of text, and I'm not going to read through every point. That's why you have the report in hand, that you can certainly dive into that in detail, but I did want to cover these in a quick summary. We've broken this out into facilities, programs, economic opportunities, and partnerships. And on the first page, you have item 1 and 2 of each category, and the second page, you have item 3 and 4 of each category. So starting with facilities, and this really goes back to that larger map that we were looking at previous slide, we really think the city of Murfreesboro would be well served by at least one new community park. We think that park should include a recreation center, and we think that it is logical to place that somewhere in the southwestern portion of the city's urban growth area. And you'll see like a 5 and 10 year and a 10 and 20 year goal to that. We're saying that that park should be at least 100 acres. And if you think back to when we were analyzing existing facilities, I think of like Sportscom and Patterson Park. These places are rich in the levels of recreational experiences they provide. So not only do they provide active things and opportunities for indoor programs, but they have outdoor programs as well. So that's the kind of facility we're talking about there, and that, you know, in addition to that, just acquiring an additional 200 acres of parkland within the next 10 to 20 years should be a goal. So that's in addition to the 100 acres that we're saying would be well served as a community center. I know sometimes these acreages seem overwhelming, and I'm giving you a snapshot of what we think is the best case scenario, but it is good to look at that snapshot and start thinking about that when you're planning for capital investment now. Obviously, land doesn't get less expensive as development occurs. It doesn't get easier to acquire in terms of other uses that it might be targeted for, so we think those are important. The other thing, item 2, is strengthening Canonsburg and the surrounding downtown. We heard over and over again that your downtown, what you have at the core, is very important to Murfreesboro, and that, you know, this is something that starts tying into that enhancement of what you have, and making sure that you connect all the dots of the places you have downtown. We think that Canonsburg could be really a base to expand that cultural historic experience, and that it deserves continued investment, it deserves continued attention, and back to the connection idea, it really deserves a way to connect it to downtown. So in the programs and services, items 1 and 2, the first one was making sure that we're including all the lifelong play experience for all ages and all inclusion of all people in the city. As I mentioned, SportsCom and Patterson, Barfield Crescent, these places are paramount to providing that service as a lifelong opportunity. So that's why we think that community center, an additional community center, would well serve the entire population. Just a note, aquatic activities, baseball, softball, pickleball, and playgrounds ranked high as far as facilities go and programs go, both with your NRPA, if you're comparing to our national standards, but also the input that we got at meetings. I think there was one public input meeting, we had a pickleball press on us, and that was a good thing. It's good to see when there's groups that are passionate about what they want to see happen, and we know that that is an up-and-coming sport, and it's something that you can continue to try to accommodate with your facilities. The other thing is that as much as you can get as far as that land acquisition, if you are to acquire land, it doesn't mean you have to spend a fortune on developing it immediately. Sometimes there's a need for flex space, open space, practice space. So I want to highlight in terms of programs and services that one way to kind of meet immediate needs for the city is if you do make land acquisitions, you can, at a pretty low cost, develop that area as basically an open play or flex space, and that is a need for the city right now. And then the programs at Cannonsburg, we think that they're, again, connecting back to your downtown. It's really, there's a lot of good things happening there. It's an important facet of all the different clubs, all the different activities, and the continued support of those clubs and the communication with those clubs is paramount. That's how the city is going to help meet this recreation demand that you're experiencing. Because as your population grows, it becomes harder and harder just to go out and build new facilities and add more staff and add more maintenance. So one of the best ways to leverage what we have now is to take places like Cannonsburg and the cultural and events that are going on there and leverage that in conjunction with your existing staff. As far as economic needs and opportunities, there is as I mentioned, volunteers are a key role to that and continue to need to be part of the plan. Mm-hmm. And you need to leave room for your staff to have the opportunity to manage that. I think the new position that Angela has filled, as far as helping with that for the community development, is a really good move. I think that's, once again, it's a way that you can grow to meet the needs of your city and really leverage those partnerships. The other thing as far as economics is that try to make the development part of your partnerships. The development process should look at not just open space in the city. The development process should also consider what type of park experiences, what type of park and recreation can be integrated into that process. So back to those red bubbles that I called out on the map that were saying these really deserve some local and smaller park assets. One of the ways you can leverage that is working with your development community and making that, when you're planning a site, when you're looking at especially planned development projects, projects with mixed use, projects with large acreage, large amounts of residential area, think about how to integrate small local parks into that process. The other thing about economic needs is, there's really a way to promote, I think, the experiences that you have here on a tourism scale and tying into things like the Chamber of Commerce. There's really an opportunity. The newly formed Rutherford Arts Alliance, the Chamber of Commerce has some new positions that are very key in terms of promoting tourism, and the recreational experience is part of that tourism. And then also the Main Street Group of Murfreesboro. They're, again, coming back to enhance what we have and connect. So when I say connect, I'm not just saying physically connect. I'm saying strategically and communication-wise connect what we already have and strengthen it. We also think that a wayfinding signage, a master plan, would be something that would really serve the city well. I know we've implemented some of the new, the blue state signs. We've got some signage in place. As I've traveled throughout Middle Tennessee and the Mid-South and looked at other communities that have similar recreational facilities, I've noticed that they have common wayfinding themes, and that really makes it a lot easier for visitors. Think about all the people that come here for, say, a place like MTSU, and this is their first time into Murfreesboro or their second or third time, and having that wayfinding language in place can be a very powerful thing to promote not only your parks and recreation, but your other tourism and cultural opportunities. I think I've kind of already touched on some of the partnerships. In addition to funding for making it part of the development process, we also think it's worth considering having impact fees related to parks and recreation. And I say that because I know that there's a lot of communities that surround us that have done that. It's seen as a very fair thing, because if it's clear and it's fair and it's applied in an equal manner, then it's something that relates to growth. So as you have growth and you have development, if there are impact fees that can connect to that, other communities surrounding us have found that that is a fair way to gauge and measure. So we think that should be considered. We know that there's a lot of discussion that would need to happen with that type of implementation, but we think it's important to at least consider it. The hotel and motel tax is something that feeds into not only the commerce that you have here, tourism that you have here, but we need to make sure that stream continues into your capital investments for parks as well. So before I flip to the next page, I know I've done a lot of talking, covered a lot of ground, and I want to make sure to pause here and dive into some specifics if you'd like.
Anybody have any questions for the ones he's covered thus far? No?
Okay. All right, so if we go to that second page, and here again, we're still in these four categories of facilities, programs, economics, and partnerships. Facilities, the Greenways, are something that deserve continued attention. They really have become, I call it the linear, not only the linear park, it's almost like the Main Street experience. When you go on a Greenway, it's one of the best places you'll find to interface with people. It's a very equitable system. You'll see all walks of life, and I mean that literally and figuratively on the Greenway. So expanding those Greenways and then connecting to the Blueway opportunities we have with Stones River, we think should be a goal. So the immediate 5 to 10 year kind of connects to that multimodal path in Canonsburg and downtown. We think that the spurs that you extend from your Greenways now to the downtown area should be a focus. We also think that there's an opportunity to long-term connect out to Walter Hill Dam and Walter Hill Park, and there again, if you're thinking about a Greenway Blueway experience, that is a place that I think we need a stronger connection to. As far as facilities, there again, when I said one of the primary things is enhancing and maintaining, we have high quality systems, we have high quality programs, and the only way you're going to continue to have that is to invest more into your maintenance. So it's very important that as we get excited about new facilities and we think about how to expand our programs, we don't lose sight of the fact that your maintenance, operations and maintenance budget will continue to also increase. And we're suggesting that needs to be something that you continue to make a part of your plan. So every year that you add new facilities and you add new programs, at the same time, you need to balance out how do we make sure to continue to fund our operation and maintenance program as well. So maintaining at high quality of what we have, part of that is the action that the city has already taken, which I think is a very thoughtful one, which is to program and team with TSA to implement a very high-scale park out at Richard Segal. It's already quality, but now you're going to take that to the next level of quality and continue to draw that regional athletic experience. We also think in the 5 and 10 year range, you know, I know that just recently the maintenance facility, is the key turned? Is it open?
Not yet.
Not
We have
yet,
a roof
getting
on it.
close.
So, yeah, getting
Right.
close.
So that was actually a very important step, and I'm glad the city took that because there was a need to expand, as I said, not just your facilities, but how do you invest into operating and maintaining them? We think that that's going to be a continued need. In the 10 to 20 year range for facilities, if you really wanted to think, you know, long range, how could we continue to grow our athletic experience and draw? If you were to create a multi-purpose indoor and outdoor high quality venue, that would be a target the city could make. That type of target really deserves a partner like you've done with TSA for the soccer. You would want to look for a partner. I'm going to throw out the possibility of somebody like Middle Tennessee State University is a possible partner for that kind of venue, because that kind of venue is going to take not just the local staff requirements for planning and operating. It's going to take a partner with a big organization. And then the other last thing I'll touch on for facilities is within the next 10 to 20 years, it'd be well served to really put a centrally located facility for the department. I know Barfield, the facility out at Barfield has been a great place and has a little nuance to it and a coziness to it. But really, I think you deserve at some stage in the next 10 to 20 years to really get a centrally located administrative facility for Parks and Recreation that's closer to the hub of the city and also is closer to the other departments, and so that could be something you plan for. All right, I'll try to speed up a little bit going into programs and services. There again, I said connecting. So I'm not just talking about Greenway connections in facilities, I'm talking about connecting with your transportation network and updating the Greenways and Blueways master plan so that it matches with your thoroughfare plan. So your transportation department and your Parks and Recreation department really have to kind of look sleeve in how they match those two plans together, because we can't just build greenways everywhere. So part of the way is that you really connect parks. Part of the way is that you start to enhance the ways that they provide experiences for the community is even looking at those transportation alternatives within your road network. Things like dedicated bike lanes, things like just making sure your sidewalk systems are connecting. So that's another part of connecting just as much as your greenways is. And then making sure that we continue to work with the local leagues. And I'll say that as we interviewed the leagues, and there's a strong sense of appreciation for what they have here in Murfreesboro. And there's just also an emphasis that we need to continue that communication, because as the programs grow and as more and more events happen, that'll be a part of the connection, is talking to them just as much as the physical infrastructure, things like greenways. Economic needs, items 4 and 5. We mentioned the greenway system. These are key elements to the city in making sure that those are something that provide for not only local residents. We found that there again, if we're talking about drawing people to visit here, one of the key things are people to live here that are looking for a high quality of life. Greenways is very high on the list. So it's really economic opportunity as well as a recreational opportunity. Capital investment, as I said, we need to make sure the long-term O&M is part of your budget plans. And then in partnerships, Greenway Trails, they end up being something we need to partner a lot of time with, things like TDOT and TDEC. Department of Health actually has really stepped up their game when it comes to partnering with communities and providing some funding sources. So those are the statewide partners we need. And then this last item on partnerships, every new facility program that you create, we need to think about how do we partner with people to help with the operations and maintenance. So as we're looking at a new facility, as we're looking at a new program, that's where partnering with our volunteers, that should be part of the analysis that you do, just as much as how many dollars are we spending on this facility or this program. We should also ask the question, how many people are we training, volunteers are we training to help operate it, to help give it life and to make sure that it continues to thrive. So once again, I know I've covered a lot of ground, but this is kind of a summary. I wanted to make sure to touch all the issues we thought were good. We think we're at that point. We're ready for you to give us some final conclusions.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Nate, you got any comments?
Yeah, if just a second, we're excited with the product that we have and excited about the implementation, what it does for our department for the coming years, and how it plays into the role of certain accreditations that we'll be seeking very soon. From here, we're seeking your approval for the plan, and from here we'll take it to the Planning Commission as well as the City Council. So that's the reason we wanted to get it in front of you upon completion, hear any last-minute feedback, and seek approval.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Kevin or Nate?
Well, I'll just make a comment, and you know, this is an excellent plan, and if you fail to plan, you have no plan whatsoever, and you plan to fail. So I think it's a good plan. I think it's aggressive, which it should be. I know it's a lot of it's weighed on economic situations that will be challenging for the city because the budget's tight, and there's clearly some things in the future that are going to be other economic challenges for the city, and other than just parks, and we'll have to address those as they come. But this will be part of that. The impact fee that you referred to, we're already studying to make sure that we're trying to make sure that the current residents and current property owners who pay property taxes are not the only one who bears the burden of this expense when we start looking at projects like you've proposed. From the planning department standpoint, I can assure you that every project that comes before the city right now, if it's a planned development, it has multi-use paths or pathways and walkways incorporated into it. And there's always an emphasis to make sure that green space and playgrounds are provided on those properties and facilities as well, therefore reducing the need and impact on the ones that the city does provide. And then last week we spent a great deal of time over in Franklin discussing the city's council was over there at a retreat, and we discussed the city's branding and our participation with MTSU and how we can improve and have a a better relationship with the university. Not that it's bad now, it's not. It's a good relationship. But I think there's always room for improvement, and we need to look at the city's branding as to how we want Murfreesboro to be recognized. Do we want it to be, when people think of Murfreesboro, what do we want them to think of currently? It was interesting, we did a little impromptu survey of some people that we knew that lived outside Murfreesboro, and we would name cities and ask them what they thought of when we named that city, and obviously some of them we kind of guessed what they would pick. Nashville was obviously music. Knoxville, they thought of UT, and Murfreesboro. We got a wide variety of comments. However, a lot of the comments that we received were when Murfreesboro was mentioned outside of Murfreesboro, they thought of soccer. Some said they thought of spring fling. Some said they thought of course, MTSU, but I was surprised at how many people recognize Murfreesboro as the sports capital of Tennessee, which it clearly is, and And that's because of the phenomenal job that Angela and Nate and the rest of our staff on the Recreation Department do in trying to make sure that we provide the best facilities, I think, that are available in our state. So as we continue to do that, I think that our tourism dollars will continue to come in because of that recognition, and those people who want to come here to participate in those events, it definitely helps our economy. So I'll be quiet in just a second, but I do want to say thank you to not only the Parks and Rec Department for the fine job they do, but also for Kevin, what you've done to put together a plan so that we have a vision of where we're going in the future. So thank you.
Thanks, Eddie. Any other questions, comments before we vote?
I'm also encouraged by the implementation fall of 2019 of the Heritage Tourism major at MTSU. So in terms of a human capital partnership, I'm encouraged by that opportunity for that with Parks and Rec and MTSU. So I hope that we will explore that further as we move forward.
Just to piggyback on that a little bit, people at MTSU, and I'm not speaking for the university, I'm only speaking for individuals that I talk to at MTSU, we feel the same way. We actually have a small task force working on opportunities to bring what we do great to the community. And I'm not going to get any more into it than that because it's really early. But what's good about it is people are thinking of how can we become more of part of the fabric of Murfreesboro. So same thing, just on the other side, just realize, we're thinking the same stuff. So it sounds like it's the right time for both sides to start talking a little bit more on that. So
Yeah,
I'm assuming you are.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, there's nothing that impacts our ability to attract corporations and businesses to Murfreesboro more than what we refer to as the quality of life, and that's those things that when we look at the aerospace department at MTSU, we need to make sure that companies that are outside of Murfreesboro that are considering moving would look at us first because of our relationship with the city, or between the city and MTSU, and our ability to help train their employees. That's a huge benefit. And as Ms. Bonner said, absolutely, we do need to make sure that the music and the heritage and all that's recognized and tied into the recruitment of businesses, because in order to provide these services, the key is good jobs and good employment opportunities for those kids after they do leave MTSU. And so I think that when we're looking at that, we need to make sure that we've prepared our students. I know our Murfreesboro school system does a phenomenal job of preparing kids for future jobs. I recently was at one of their meetings and saw the enthusiasm, but not only that, but the way that they were looking at the future and what the jobs of the future would be, and it was directly in line with the STEAM program and the things that we're teaching our students now. So, and as this meeting started out today, we were discussing really keeping the youth involved and active and participating in good things, positive things, as opposed to allowing them to wander off into things that are negative and things that can get them in trouble. And I think that's what we do in the Parks and Recreation Department, is we keep those kids busy on positive things, and our school system does a great job. We're just very blessed in Murfreesboro to be in this city and to have the resources that I think are focused on our children and things that we make available for our seniors as well. And it's a good place to be.
Yes, it is. Any other questions or comments? If there are none, we need a motion for approval of the plan as presented.
I move approval
That's
of the
correct.
master plan.
Need a
Second.
Got a second? Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Kevin, thanks for your work.
Thank you.
Always a
My
pleasure having
pleasure.
you, bud.
Yes, sir.
All right, next item is the Patterson Community Center Summer Recap. Crystal's with us today to review that. Crystal, welcome.
Just want to thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to inform you on everything that we're doing at Patterson and what we've got going on. Let me get this together. Okay, so we'll start off with just talking about our youth development department and like I said, what we've got going on at Patterson. And our first major event of 2019 was the Patterson Park Triumph Awards, and that was in honor of Black History Month. For our annual program, we kind of decided to do something different. Our goal was to bridge the gap between our local heroes and our up-and-coming young achievers. By doing this, we honored our past and present heroes, Mr. John Harris, Coach Melvin Daniels, Captain Byron Motley, Mr. Steve Matthews, and Dr. Gloria Bonner as well, by naming an award after their achievements and giving a special proclamation from our mayor, Shane McFarland. So we'll shoot right on to March, and that was our annual First Shot Camp that was presented by Coach Andy Herzer. Coach Andy is one of our long-standing community partners, and he consistently provides resources and camps during spring break, fall break, and summer break as well. In April, our youth attended the annual First Shot Sneaker Ball. The keynote speaker was UT women's basketball and WNBA star Tamika Catchings, and that was very exciting for all of us to attend that. The highlight was when each child received an autographed copy of her book, To Catch a Star. We closed out the month of April with, which is also Autism Awareness Month, with our Special Families Playdate. This event was initially called the Autism Family Fun Day, but we noticed that there was a need in the community for families of all abilities to be exposed to these resources and be able to network with each other. So we changed the title to include families of all abilities, needs, and ages. And we had a lot of community partners that participated and provided our families with resources. Okay, so next we are moving on to our summer program, which started May the 28th. Our 9-week program is for ages 8 to 13. However, we do have a large population of teenagers that participate, and most of their programs are career-based. We averaged 80 to 100 kiddos every day, and we were able to provide breakfast and lunch daily with the help of Murfreesboro City Schools. I have to mention our awesome community partners that continue to expose our youth to different experiences and situations. Wilderness Station, Rutherford County Heart Association, First Baptist Church, Reform Murfreesboro, RC Technology Engagement Center, Discovery Center, Barnabas Vision, MGL Library, General Mills, Regina Harvey with Dominion Financial, Chris Hooper AAU Basketball League, which our youth were able to, our 7th and 8th graders were able to play in tournaments during the weekends, during the summer, Family Center, American Barber College, UT Extension Agency, and Keith Jordan Foundation. We were able to go on 2 incredible field trips thanks to the sponsorship of First Shot. Our first trip was to the Tennessee Aquarium in Chattanooga. The kids took tours and visited several different types of exhibits. Also, the aquarium staff had nothing but great things to say about our kiddos, and that was a proud moment for me. Our second trip was to New Frontiers in Dowell, Tennessee. Here our youth experienced wall climbing, archery tag, initiative and team building games, and expeditions. We also visited the Rutherford County Technology Center and Technology Engagement Center every week for robotics activities, virtual reality activities, STEAM programs, smart board activities, and they also were able to do activities in the recording studio. So that finishes up our summer, and now we are currently focusing on our after-school enrichment program, which encompasses several different enrichments, activities, and field trips and special events. One of our new initiatives that was extremely successful last year in our partnership is our partnership with Hopgood Elementary School. Ms. Bell and Ms. Holmes are able to identify youth that can benefit from our after-school enrichments and activities, and currently we are transporting 14 students from Hopgood to Patterson daily. Last but not least, we would not be as effective as we are without the hard work of our staff at Patterson. Each one of our staff members have a special passion for youth and for our programming that we do, and they are very much appreciated. And thank you.
There's a lot of stuff going on, Crystal.
Thank you. It's an exciting time to be at Patterson.
We appreciate everything you guys do.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for being with us today. Nate's got an update on the financial report for fiscal year 2019.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could draw your attention to the screen, I'm going to give you just a quick recap of our department's budget performance in fiscal year 2018-2019. I've given you, in front of you, a full recap of both of these items that give a little bit more detail. So like I said, I'm going to hit some of the highlights that we're proud of this year. Just in summation, for fiscal year 2018-2019, we had a budget of $11,405,960. Our total revenue was $3,035,000. If you would indulge me just for a second, I'd like to compare that to fiscal year 2014-2015. In that year, 5 years ago, our budget was over $12 million, and our revenue was $1.838 million. So, in other words, from 2014-2015 to 2018-2019, we were able to see a 65.1% increase in our total revenue, and then a 10.3% decrease in our budget. So we're very proud of that. To better illustrate that trend, in front of you is a chart. It shows what our total revenue is in blue versus our total budget, operating budget for the department over the past 5 years. So our goal is to operate this in the most conservative way we can while still being effective and draw those lines closer together in the coming years, and we don't see a reason why that trend won't continue. So the question of why the 65% increase in revenue, it's our facilities. We have had tremendous facility performance over the past 5 years. You can see each one of these facilities specifically. The line for recreation includes all of our athletic leagues. It includes some of our smaller facilities like Cannonsburg, Bradley Academy, our pavilions, our camps, and that type of thing. But you can see just how we trended over the past 5 years. So our facility performance, they continue to implement innovative programs and quality services in a safe and clean environment. We have tremendous staff who are creative and have bought into our system of how we approach parks and recreation. And of course, the support and trust of this commission, along with the support of our council, who have endorsed some fee adjustments over the past 5 years that we believe also have resulted in where we stand in our budget performance. Here's another breakdown of how the percentages apply to where the revenues that come in are broken down. I think if you go back, you can see Adams Tennis Complex has done a lot in the past 5 years and come on and had the highest increase, most dramatic. So they're doing a tremendous job. Gary Gary Arbit out at tennis said if he had a pool, then he would double the rest of the numbers, but that's just what he said. So they're doing a great job. If I could remind you what our mission is, it's to provide vibrant public spaces and inclusive programs delivered with visionary leadership and a caring staff that engage the individual and strengthen the quality of life for our community. I think we're accomplishing that. We're not sacrificing anything. We still annually are able to give out over $400,000 in equivalent of financial assistance, and we never turn away anybody for their inability to pay for anything, and we're serving a lot of people. If I could add one caveat to that mission, we're trying to do it in the most fiscally responsible way we can. And I'm proud of our staff. I'm proud of the team that we have. I'm proud of everybody who's really participated in this year It's something we're looking forward to improving every year from here on out. But I wanted to give you just kind of that snapshot of where we stand as a department, how we performed on our budget in the past year, and then compared to the last 5 years.
It's great info, Nate. Thank you. Nice work. Any comments for Nate? Questions? Again, impressive stuff.
Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment. Of course, we've talked over the years about, I think we got to a point a few years back where if we would have kept just doing exactly what we had been doing in the way that we had been doing as fast as Murfreesboro has grown and trying to keep up with that growth on all levels, including this level, the Parks and Rec level, that it wouldn't be a real sustainable model. And that, I think we brought that, the council kind of took that on and, sort of thought we needed to have a more sustainable model. And I don't know that there's anything that I could see that wouldn't show that trend. And, everybody up here probably understands that not everybody does understand how hard it is, and a little bit of change of philosophy and, some of that kind of stuff is never easy to, turn one of those big trains around, as the adage goes. And clearly it looks like that is trending that direction. And that, the core of that is not, at least from, I think, most of our standpoints, is not, and when I say us, I mean the citizens, is not that you think it needs to be gone or go away or anything like that. It's just we want it to be sustainable. Why? Because we want it to still be in existence 20 and 30 and 40 years from now and vibrant, right? I mean, because if it's not sustainable, ultimately it'll die. So I really appreciate, those are great numbers. That's pretty powerful to me, and certainly it should be to the community.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks again for the update, Nate. Last, certainly not least, Melinda's going to give us an update on program and activities. Melinda, welcome.
How is everybody?
Fantastic.
Is everybody staying hydrated? The reason why I ask is because one of our campaigns that we've started this year is to help you stay hydrated. And I know it's your second nature as you're going out the door to grab a water bottle. And unfortunately, our second nature is destroying our only nature. So with that, as stewards of our city's green spaces, the Parks and Rec Department is encouraging all of our employees and the public to BYOB, bring your own water bottle. And recycling is great, we all know that, but what's even better, reducing the amount of plastic in the first place. So our BYOB campaign is bringing awareness of how easy it is to refill your bottles. And first of all, we had all of our employees most of our employees sign a pledge to not use disposable waters during the month of September. And we had 72 employees sign the pledge, and then they were entered into a drawing for a squirt bottle. Then we posted the locations of the water bottle fillers, and we've got them all over the city, Sportscom, Patterson Park, Wilderness Station, and I've been getting notifications that they're in lots of other places too, like the Battlefield and MTSU. So it's really easy to fill your water bottle. And we've got a Facebook post encouraging people. We have had over 600 people take the pledge, 45 people shared it. And starting Friday, we'll have drawings at our facilities to encourage people to BYO water bottle. Does anybody have any questions about that?
If I could just say really quick, if you've seen this on Facebook, it's really just exploded. I don't know how many responses we've had to this, but it had something like 50 shares, and hundreds of people signed the pledge and entered the contest. So it's got a lot of reach. Good job, Melinda.
Yeah, I think it's an awareness thing. So, yeah, and at the next meeting, I'm imagining everyone will be bringing your own bottle, right? Okay, I'm going to zip through these real quick. We've got the Hummingbird Festival coming up this Saturday, September 7th at Barfield Crescent Park, and lots of activities there. Our cardboard boat regatta, also this Saturday at Sportscom at Borough Beach. All of the information for these can be found in our Rec Connection and online. our very popular Puppy Plunge, Saturday, September 4th, also at Borough Beach. Greenway Art Festival coming up the Saturday, September 21st at Old Fort Park. And our third Friday night concert series, September, I think I've got, yeah, that's right, Friday, September 20th. And I believe it's 231 South is the band that's playing. Our 74th annual Murfreesboro City Closed Tennis Championship Tournament is coming up, and information about that can be found online. At St. Clair, we've got the Arts and Crafts Show and Sale. The, not residents, the people who go to St. Clair have their arts and crafts displayed. Anyone can come to the show. It's for all ages. September 28th, the second annual African Drum and Dance Festival at Patterson Park. Borough Adventure Fest is also Saturday, September 28th at Walter Hill Park. And all of the information can be found in our Rec Connection, which is at our facilities, and it can also be downloaded on the Parks and Rec page of the city's website at murfreesborotn.gov/parks. We also have a lot of Facebook pages. Information can be found there as well.
All right, thanks, Melinda. Tons of stuff going on, as always. Appreciate you being here. That's our last item under new business. Is there any other business to come before the commission? Being none, we stand adjourned.